Hi and welcome to the Grind Academy podcast. My name is Rob Patterson and I'm a former CEO from the hotel industry who turned the comfort of that life in to become an entrepreneur. Today I own several successful startups across various industries including retail, technology, property and lifestyle. If I can do all that coming from a tiny outback farming town in Australia, then anyone can do it. On my journey from becoming CEO of a large organisation to entrepreneurship, I became fascinated with what it takes to perform at your peak. Each week, I'm introducing some of the most inspiring and talented minds from sport, business, literature, and science to understand just what it takes. Thanks for joining the podcast. Now let's meet today's guest. In this episode, I'm joined from the Caribbean Sea, no less, by Lisa Blackshaw. Lisa is the author of Rise and Thrive, an Amazon #1 bestseller in its category. I first discovered Rise and Thrive while researching morning routines. Lisa's book offered useful tips and advice in tweaking my own morning routine and reassured me in many ways that doing it your way is the best way. Lisa joins me from her cabin at sea where she spends a lot of her time navigating a super yacht across the globe. In fact, Lisa has sailed 4 of the 7 seas after attending nautical college in Manchester, UK, meaning each morning can be different in event and time zone. Lisa's infectious personality, positivity, and practical simple tips are a breath of fresh air. If you've been thinking about how you can launch each day with a positive tone and set clear intentions, then this podcast is for you. If you're thinking about starting a morning routine or tweaking yours, then I recommend having a listen to what Lisa shares in this podcast. All right, let's get started. Lisa Blackshaw, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here with us first and foremost. Appreciate you taking the time out on a Saturday morning to be with us. Lisa, tell us, something really cool happened yesterday. What was that?
Rise and Thrive was #1 in the Kindle's ebooks category. Quotations. I was over the moon. I was just telling Rob how I've been refreshing this category to watch it climb to the top, and yesterday it hit it and it's updated every hour and somehow it managed to stay there all day and I was so overjoyed.
So not only a bestseller, now you're a #1 bestseller on Amazon. That's a pretty cool achievement. You must feel really proud of yourself.
I am, yeah. And when I was sharing the news with friends and family who know I've been hitting the refresh every day, they were really, really happy for me and just saying, you must feel so proud. And this book has become like a child to me, you know, I'm like a proud parent.
So do you like wake up in the night and check wonder where it is? See, I think I probably would. The competitive side, I'd be like, oh, is it there yet? Is it there yet?
It's a nice thing to wake up to actually, and to hit refresh and see what's gone on since, you know, you've last checked it.
Yeah, cool. Well, out of interest, what inspired you to write the book in the first place?
In 2019, I was doing the 50 book challenge, which I see quite a lot of people doing, and I would probably normally read 30 books a year, I would say. So to read 50, I thought, I can do that easily. It was so challenging. And I found that I was reading in the mornings a lot and really enjoying it because it's such a great time to focus, especially before you start the day's activities. So I also read a lot of personal development books on this list of 50 books. I would say maybe even half of them were personal development books. Quite a few were on habits, morning routines. So as I was taking on board all of these things that I was learning, I was trying to put quite a lot of it into action and started to optimize my own routine. And I took probably about 3 months of 2019 really working out what benefits me and what gets me going in the morning. And once I started telling my friends, you know, I've been reading inspirational quotes and I was sharing them, you know, because I'd read a great quote in the morning, I'd be sharing it with my friends or my colleagues and they'd be like, oh, that's great. And people even started saying to me, what's the quote of today, Lisa? So it'd always be relevant to maybe if I was at work, what's going on at work. And so people wanted me to share these quotes with them. And one of my friends was just like, oh, Lisa, you should write a book. But I was spending too much time reading because I was trying to get these 50 books read. So once I'd finished the 50 books challenge and then lockdown happened, that was when I started to write it.
I wanted to ask you about writing the book in lockdown. It was a pretty awful time for many people. In some ways, did you find writing such a positive book therapeutic, and did it help you to deal with what was really a chaotic situation?
It was a difficult time for everybody. There's nobody walking this earth that is unscathed by a lockdown or two, wherever you're living. It gave me something to focus on, and it gave me structure in the day as well, because when I come home, usually from working at sea, I usually have my diary completely full of activities to do, and not just with friends and family, stuff I want to go and do. And when you're told, nope, you have to stay indoors, and that really gave me some structure. So after I do a workout in the morning in the garden, I spend so much time in the garden in lockdown. And I was writing. I think I've got photos that my partner has taken of me with my laptop in the garden, busy writing. But there was so much negativity going on in lockdown, and I just felt like everyone was focusing on all the bad stuff. And because I was researching positivity to put into this book, it was really helping me, and I was trying to, help other people with these little bits that I'd learned that day when I was writing. But I really enjoyed the process of writing a book, and the editing and the rewriting that part was heartbreaking. And once I started to publish the book, I thought, the writing bit was easy. Then after I'd published the book, I thought, now I've got to do all this marketing. Publishing was easy. So it's been a challenging time, but it's been so worth it.
Yeah, right. So you say it was heartbreaking. In what way?
So you think you've written a great manuscript, and then I sent it to my editor. She's been fantastic throughout the whole process. And it's just, when they're cutting everything out of it and rewrite this and redo this, and this doesn't make sense. And you're like, oh, it made sense in my mind, But when I look at the finished product now, and I have looked at the original manuscript, I've got about 20, I'm not joking, of different versions.
Wow.
I'm so glad that I went through and, took my time with it. It took me a year to write it. But it evolved into something entirely different. The book that's been published today is not what I started with at all.
Yeah, right. I'm getting cold sweats because I'm writing a book at the moment and thinking, how much am I going to have to rewrite? You just mentioned you're at sea, and I read that you've sailed 4 of the 7 seas, interestingly. So I'm wondering, what drew you to the marine life?
I started nautical college when I was 18 years old, and I did not picture myself doing a 9 to 5. I really wanted to go out, explore, adventure, and finally, when I got a job working time for time, that means that I work equal amounts on to off. So I work 10 weeks on and 10 weeks off. It's given me a good life balance. Does that answer the question? What was
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm interested to know, where was nautical school? Because is there nautical school in Manchester?
When I went to go and look around this nautical college when I was 17, I was like, what? I've driven past this building. I didn't know what this thing was. And the tutor showed me around and said, oh, it's Britain's best kept secret, because you don't know about them. And just that open day and thinking like, yes, this is for me, going traveling, getting paid to travel, working at sea. I'm really passionate about nature and the environment. So I couldn't have thought of a better career path for me. I love water sports, so any chance I can get to even just go swimming, that is a water sport, but anything on, under, on top of, in the water, I'm there. So it's not disappointed me, this career choice.
There we go. Well, see, I think Manchester is one of the greatest cities in the world, and now is there anything it doesn't have? It has a nautical school, and it's landlocked. So the main theme of the book is managing a positive mindset with the choices that we make. We have the opportunity to choose the people we surround ourselves with. Should we be making conscious decisions about who we spend most of our time with each day?
There's that saying about you can choose your friends and can't choose your family, but you attract your tribe. And I'm not trying to say to anybody, ditch all your friends because they're too busy gossiping and you're not interested in that. But I think surrounding yourself with lots of different people. I'm so fortunate that I work in an industry. I think we have like 17 different nationalities on board, so different cultures, and having different conversation topics and finding out how other people live their lives. I think just surrounding yourself with different types of people. But in terms of mindset, you meet so many negative Neds in your life, and those people who are like, I've done it better. When you're telling a story, like, well, I've done it better, or you're telling a bad story, and like, well, I've had it worse. That just need to give those people as little time, because your time is so precious. You want to give them as little of it as possible if they're not deserving of it. You know what I mean?
Interestingly, in your book, you have a section or a piece dedicated to negativity, and actually, you say you can use that as a positive thing in your life. How does that work?
So I use the phrase the positive power of negative thinking. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but I think that when something bad does happen to you, or some of those days when you just feel a little bit down, you need to process those emotions. Don't focus too much on them and don't stay there. But life's a roller coaster and you need to go through the motions. It's not possible to be positive. It'd be exhausting to be positive all the time. And you need some time at neutral as well, neither positive or negative. But it's a survival instinct sometimes to think negatively, and we don't want to disconnect that feature that's in our brain. So by thinking of the worst case scenario, then if you're focusing on that, surely you're trying to avoid that from happening, which is a positive thing. So it's just a different way of looking at it. In the book, I'm not telling you it's okay to be negative all the time, because that's not the case. And the book's just trying to inspire people to be positive, but don't worry if you're not positive all the time. And negative thinkers, actually, the brain works a little bit slower. So you can process and listen to your gut and make the right decision. And I always find after I've, at work, this happens often when something's not gone my way. And I'm like, why did that happen? Instead of asking myself, well, didn't I do this right? And didn't I do that right? And everything that I did, which was right, think, what did I do wrong? What can I do better next time? Because it did go wrong. And there must have been something I contributed to make that particular task or whatever it was go wrong. What was that? But also not to be too hard on yourself and do that after every encounter or every job that you do to think what went wrong. That's not a great idea. But it's not human to be positive to a negative experience. Yeah, it's almost human nature. This is something that I grapple with a lot. It's almost human nature to learn more from the negatives, actually, because you analyze it more and go, well, what went wrong in that situation? Often they're the greatest learning times. But in my mind, I also think, well, hey, I should be learning from the positive moments as well. Yeah, I agree with that. You've got to look at both sides of the coin.
Yeah, balance. Someone who I went and saw speak a couple of years ago at one of our work conferences, Marcus Childs, and he talks about actually to appreciate the highs and the best times in your life, you've got to have understood or felt the lows, because otherwise you won't have any perspective against what's good. So there's also the spin of saying, well, actually, to going through the lows gives me a perspective of how good the good times are going to be.
Absolutely, and being grateful as well.
Yeah, gratification.
All the good and all the bad, you learn from both of those things.
Yeah, and gratification is something you talk about in a morning routine. I'm interested. You said you did the 50 book challenge, and that was when you really started to delve into a lot of the self-development. Was that when you developed a morning routine, or did you have one prior to that?
I've always been an early bird. I'm one of 4 children. I'm the oldest of 4. And in our house growing up, me and my mum were always up first. She's an early bird, I'm an early bird. The rest of them, they would sleep all day if you let them. So I would say, I love mornings. I'm a morning person, but I haven't always had a morning routine. Like I was saying, I got quite into reading every morning with the 50 book challenge. And that is something that I've stuck with, because I've learned from writing the book how good that is for your brain. And that was when I first noticed that this morning habit was having a positive effect. I didn't notice it straight away, but I did start to see how much more productive I was being. And I just kept playing around and optimizing this morning routine because I wanted to make the most of these incredible benefits, especially after some of the personal development books that I read, such as Hal Elrod's The Morning Miracle. That was a great book, but I didn't really want to do his methodology.
Yeah.
But I did a lot on that book and I recommend it. It's great.
Sorry, so you say the book again?
Hal Elrod, The Morning Miracle, or The Miracle Morning.
Okay. One of those two. Okay, I have to take a look at that one. Did you, in your 50 books and considering morning routines, did you come across the 5 a.m. club?
I did, but I haven't read that one. It's on I've got such a long to be read pile, but it is on there because so many people have recommended that to me.
Well, the reason I ask is I'm not a 5 a.m. person. I kind of typically wake up around 6 and I'm comfortable with that without an alarm. And do you need to get up at 5 a.m. to be a morning person, to have a morning routine?
Absolutely not. You have a natural circadian rhythm that might not allow you to start at 5 a.m. You might be a worse person to all of your friends and family if you start getting up at 5 a.m. just for the sake of it. Like I said, I haven't read the book and I'm sure that he talks about how all the benefits for you to start the day at 5 a.m. But I don't start the day at 5 a.m. because it could be detrimental to your health. I'm sure I'd be fine. I'm used to doing crazy shifts at work, starting at midnight or starting at 4 a.m. But Rise and Thrive provides a toolkit for a successful morning routine. It doesn't have to take hours. You don't have to get up at 5 a.m. and you start work at 9 a.m. and have to do 4 hours of activities just to get ready for the day. You could have a different morning routine from Monday to Friday, and then maybe take the weekends a little bit easier. Everyone's different. So you just need to find a proven ritual which benefits for you, your day and what your day looks like. And Rise and Thrive is written to encourage you. It's not telling you what to do. It's trying to help you make the most of your mornings to set you up for the day. I'm reading Matthew Walker's book right now. I feel like everybody's reading this book at the moment, but I already had it on my Kindle. I just hadn't started it. Now I feel like I'm late to the train with everybody else reading it. But his book, Why We Sleep, it's so interesting and I'm learning so much about it. And it's also still helping me optimize my morning routine. So I'm learning all about night owls and larks. And if you are a night owl, don't try and become an early bird if it's just not natural to you. But if you're staying up till 2 a.m., watching Netflix for hours, then I'm sure you'd agree with me, Rob, that's not time well spent. You could use that time more productively. And if you are a night owl, then maybe the evening times after work, I would never be able to do this. I like to do everything in the morning. And then when I finish, and get to bed early, that's my kind of routine. But use your time productively based on what's natural to you.
Yeah, well, at the start of the book, you quite rightly point out people are working shifts. Some people are working nighttime, and it's a very valid point, isn't it? You've got to make it structure around whatever your daily routine is.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't be called morning routines. Maybe they should be called waking up routines. When you're waking up, and it doesn't have to be some ungodly hour.
Yeah, it's launching the day, isn't it? On a positive note, there's a. You've heard the term, am I a night owl or are you an early bird? Is that a genetically programmed thing, or is that just a habit that you can train yourself to change from?
I'll have to let you know when I've finished reading this book.
But okay.
I think that you can have positive habits for you, and that you can take something away. In Rise and Thrive, there's plenty of suggestions, and I suggest taking them on a test drive. I talk about having pets and how I wish I had a pet, and I do talk from experience. My parents have a dog, and the amount of happiness that you get just from taking your dog for a walk or just playing with your pet can bring you so much happiness. What a great way to start the day. Like I say, I don't even have a fish, but I do suggest things that I'm not trying to make you do everything in the book, but it just gives you the building blocks for a morning routine, so that whether you are a night owl or an early bird, you can find habits that are going to serve you.
Yeah, good advice. So irrespective of the time that you typically sleep, or anyone typically sleeps, how important, does a morning routine actually start the night before? How important is your sleep to the well-being of your morning routine?
I think you definitely notice the difference when you're well rested. But in the book, I do recommend sort of bookending the day. So if you've got good morning routine and good sleep hygiene at the end of the day, and you practice gratitude at the end of the day, it's like you're constantly setting yourself up for the middle bit, your day, to hopefully be full of productivity and for you to enjoy life. If we're talking about the day to day, we're talking about making your life the best that it can be for you. So yeah, bookend the day with good routines and set your intentions at the start of the day. And just wake up with enthusiasm, which if you go to sleep at night dreading the following day, well, you're not going to wake up enthusiastic. That last thought you have at night is the first thought in the morning. So if you go to bed like, yes, what am I doing tomorrow? Oh, I'm going to be doing this, and that's exciting, and I can't wait now, but I'm going to go to sleep. That you're going to wake up being like, oh, what was that thing I was excited about? Oh yeah, right, let's get up and go.
Yeah, I love it. Get up and go. Well, the bookend I really like. I think it's a great piece of advice. And can you share actually a little bit about the bookend of the day, the gratification, waking up and reading that in the morning?
Of course, yeah. When you're grateful, I think you sleep easier as well. But just count your blessings at the end of the day. I try meditation. I'm not very good at it, but I think that I do it without really realizing sometimes. So I'll be lying in bed thinking about the things that I'm grateful for, everything that I have in my life, and even the things that I want, which I know are achievable. Thinking about those things gets me motivated so that I can give it my best. And gratitude is key. It really is. It's the key to so many things. It's the key to success. It's the key to happiness. And if you're focusing on positive goals, if you're not just focusing on, I want to get rich, that's not good. That's not a good goal to have. If you're focusing your goals on things that you really want, and you're getting there and you're tracking your habits and you're getting there day by day, that motivates you as well. And constantly feeling grateful, like we were talking at the beginning, I was so grateful yesterday and today of making it to number one, and that motivates me to keep on going. But I did have one piece of advice actually about the nighttime. The one thing I didn't really realize I did, which helps, is putting your stuff out the night before. So put my journal out, or maybe you have a corner in your bedroom, or you have it on your coffee table or something. Or if you're wanting to go to the gym early in the morning, it's one less thing for you to do. If you get everything set up the night before, if you put your gym shoes out and what you're going to wear to the gym, then you're quicker up and out the door and doing the stuff. So I think make it easy for yourself to have a good morning routine.
That's great. That's great advice, actually. I'm going to take that on board, because I'm always in the dark fumbling from where my gym clothes is in the morning. So I'm going to take that advice. I guess my morning routine is a bit of exercise. I like to get up and get some exercise and listen to a couple of books. I'm not a great reader. I do audiobooks. But, is it a one size fits all, or is this something that you develop as a very personal thing?
I think it is personal. Like, you read audiobooks. I have such a chatty mind. Whenever I'm listening to audiobooks, I just start to sort of switch off. I need it to be visual. I need to read it. I need to watch it. My partner's always cooking and listening to podcasts and things and saying, did you like that joke? And I was like, I wasn't listening. But I read a lot more than he does. And articles and watching videos, that's just how my brain works. And as we were saying earlier about opposites attract, we have our different methods of taking in information. But what was the question? Sorry, I feel like I do this.
Is it a one size fits all?
Is it a one size fits all? No, it really isn't. And as I was just saying earlier about getting those different building blocks and finding what works for you and taking different tasks for a test drive, meditation, as I said before, I just can't seem to do it. It doesn't work for me. I wish it did, because I hear people's success stories with it and I just think, wow, that sounds so amazing. But whenever I've tried to meditate, it's just, I've either gotten like really upset or I can't focus. So I think just try different things, see what works for you, and give it a go.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can totally relate to that as well. I tried the meditation side of things as well, and my brain just runs away and I can't focus as well. So I can understand that.
More.
Say again?
When I've said that to people who meditate, I've said, no, my brain just feel like, well, you need it more then. I'm like, oh God. So we'll have to focus on that, Rob. We'll do some together.
When I was young, I hated tomato. My parents used to say, you have to eat your tomato, and it sort of feels a little bit like that, forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. But anyway. No. So you're at sea, so you must be, you're crossing different time zones, and I imagine the hours can vary depending on what's happening during the time of the day. What does your morning routine consist of?
At the moment, like we were saying earlier, I'm in the Caribbean and I start work at 8 a.m. It is a day off today, so I'm enjoying it here, being on this podcast.
Thank you.
But at 8 o'clock, I work backwards from there. So whatever I'm doing the next day, this all goes back to the what do you do at night before your morning routine, work back from when you need to be somewhere. So my alarm at the moment is set for 5:30. I'll wake up, I'll stretch, I'll have some water straight away. I'll leave that next to my bed. I'll do half an hour of cardio, and then I'll make a cup of coffee. I'll journal, set my intentions, spend some time finding some inspirational quotes to share on social media. I spend like quite a bit of time in the morning, maybe 10 minutes, just writing up a post ready for the day to share with other people. And I've got into the habit of doing that now. And I'm learning as I'm creating this content for other people. So that usually takes me about 10 minutes. And then after that, I've usually got about 15 to 20 minutes left to do some reading. Yeah. And obviously drinking coffee meanwhile, all of that is going on. Your quotes, you've got quite a big following there waiting for your quotes every day, and I'm one of them. So thank you for taking the time and doing that. There's instant gratification because it's great for us. The phone, I want to ask you about the phone, because nowhere in that routine did you mention your mobile phone, and I kind of grapple with this one a little bit. Sometimes I do grab it, but I ran a poll last week, 2 weeks ago on LinkedIn, and there were about 300 responses. It wasn't a huge poll, but still significant. And more than 50% of people, the first thing they do when they wake up is grab their phone. So I've started putting mine on airplane mode now, so I can't see anything in the morning. But what I wanted to ask is what's your view on being the very first thing you do in your day and setting a tone, grabbing your phone? Guilty. But only when I'm working away, and especially when I'm working behind. So at the moment I'm 4 hours behind all my friends and family. That when I wake up, I've got about 50 messages. So I want to catch up. I want to stay in the loop. Even though I'm away, I still want to feel like I'm involved. So I'll catch up with what people are doing, and people usually send. Got a family WhatsApp group, which we must send each other hundreds of messages every single day, and you've got to catch up with what's been going on. But at home, I am so disciplined with this. I don't do it, and I don't know if I ever made that a rule for myself. I just don't look at my phone when I get up. Yeah. And I'm not really sure what made me. I don't remember that ever being a thing. I get up, I go and do stuff, and then when I'm looking for quotes, that's what. And to be honest, do you know what the reason probably is? I don't have any messages when I wake up, so that's probably why. I probably look at my phone and go, yeah, no, nobody's messaged me. It's morning, nobody else is up. So I think that maybe that's got something to do with it, actually. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, well, I found the reason I try to, not always, but the same. I'm in the US and I've got a lot of contacts in the UK. So you wake up and you're actually 4 or 5 hours behind the day. But the reason I stopped was because, or try to make a conscious decision and effort not to do that is I got tired of seeing the latest thing that Boris Johnson did or that the CDC just announced in the US. And it's like, I don't need that to start my day. So that's why I've made a conscious decision to move away from it.
Absolutely. I've got a friend at the moment who's traveling to Antarctica on a yacht. And so usually in the morning when I wake up, she's got all these incredible pictures. So I think the kind of messages I do get in the morning, I don't check the news or anything like that. It's just sort of immediate news of my friends and family. In the morning. But one useful tip that I do have for that, even though I said I don't really struggle with it when I'm at home, but if I feel I'm starting to get distracted by my phone, I have like this little mantra in my mind to say there's nothing interesting on here. I actually tell myself that, and I'm just looking at rubbish. Put it away. And I actually say that in my mind. There's nothing interesting on here, and it makes me just switch off and start focusing on what I was distracted from, because we've accepted that we're addicted to our phones. I don't know how this just all of a sudden happened. We've just seemingly managed to just incorporate into our lives. Yeah, of course we're addicted to our phones. It's fine, guys. Well, it's not. You can spend hours on TikTok and just scrolling. I mean, it's designed to make you want to keep on going. So when I find myself doing that, I go, oh, no, this is not interesting. Put it away.
Yeah, good advice. So if you think about starting a morning routine, what do you think, if somebody's listening that haven't got a morning routine, what would be the first few things that you would suggest that they think about doing?
I would say in the book, in Rise and Thrive, as I said earlier, it's like a toolkit so that you can read through it and then choose the building blocks for your morning routine. Have a look through the multiple suggestions in there that I've researched and tried, but by no means in this book does it say you have to do all of the tasks, because that could take you all day. See what works for you, try new things in different orders. But I think the main piece of advice for somebody who is looking to start a morning routine, the first place you want to look is, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And in January, everybody's sort of thinking about their New Year's resolutions. What does 2022 look like for them? Well, what does it look like? What do you want to achieve? There's no point in just hoping that something's going to happen this year. If you want to get fitter or you want to learn to play an instrument, I'm using this as an example because this is what I'm trying to do. I've been learning the piano for the last 2 years, that every day in my journal I say, I'm going to practice today. And I do. I practice sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for 3 hours, depending on how much time I've got. But every morning it's in my brain that I am going to work towards my goal a tiny bit today, so that eventually you don't necessarily have to have an end point for your goal, but eventually you're going to get there. So I think start with what your goals are and make sure the things you're doing in the morning are working towards that.
Yeah, good advice. I mean, do you think if you sit down in the morning and you say, I'm going to do 10 or 15 or 2 hours on the piano, does that some way create accountability, personal accountability?
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. That's the thing, is that when I'm writing it down saying I'm going to practice, I do enjoy sitting down, and it's quite therapeutic for me. But you're right, it does hold you accountable, because the next day, so I have like a little checklist in my journal at the top, and I put things like piano, reading, and the next day when I'm journaling, I reflect on the previous day. And if I've not done those things and I feel a little bit disappointed and think, I'm going to have to make up for that today. And then, so I think journaling holds yourself accountable, and it's like having a nice conversation with yourself, which is great in the morning before you've spoken to any other humans, or if you've not been on your phone, then you just have that conversation with yourself and look at, what is my day going to look like?
Yeah, great advice. So I want to talk a little bit about rituals, morning routine rituals, because there's quite a few out there. I think probably the most well publicized one is perhaps Wim Hof's cold shower in the morning. A lot of people have heard the make your bed in the morning, which is a New York Times bestseller now as well. the speech that was given at a college graduation. I spoke with an NFL player last week who inverts himself on a table. Inversion, puts himself upside down for blood flow. What are your thoughts on those sort of alternative morning rituals?
Give them a go. The bottom line is that you're finding ways to motivate yourself to get up and go. And Rise and Thrive is there to give you that motivation. So as we were saying earlier, if meditation works for you, fantastic. But we're also unique. And so that NFL player, him inverting himself on a table for blood flow, for his back pain, that's great that it serves him, but it's not going to serve me if I start trying that tomorrow. I don't have back pain. Luckily, I don't have back pain. So that's not going to be something I'm interested in, or it's not even worth me giving it a go. My nan did actually used to tell me to do this before an exam. She used to tell me, do a headstand in the morning of your exam. And I used to do it. It's because I wanted to pass my exam. So maybe there's more benefits in inverting yourself, not just if you've got back pain. But I did try the cold showers, and I'll admit it was invigorating. I was fully awake after that encounter, but it didn't make me want to get up. The thought of getting in the shower, I don't want to wake up with dread. But I do understand the benefits. It's really good for blood flow as well, I believe. And I did like it afterwards, but I wouldn't want to get up and get straight in the shower for an ice cold experience. I do like it. I like my mornings to be a little bit warmer than that. But have you given it a go?
I have, and I'm with you. I tried it for a couple of weeks. I just didn't enjoy it. I really enjoy a hot shower, and that's my time to, if I have a time of meditation, that's when everything sort of comes together for me. It's good thinking time. So the thought of then turning it cold for a minute at the end was like, I tried it, but it didn't work for me. I agree with you. I think, each to their own, and you got to find what works for you. And
But you gave it a go.
Yeah. You got to try, right? So Rise and Thrive talks about gratitude, and how that can empower positivity. And I was wondering, you don't always wake up feeling grateful or feeling top of the world or feeling like you want to go for a 5-mile run. What tips or techniques can you offer the listeners today for, if you're waking up not feeling the best? How can you turn that around?
I think that gratitude, people think that they've got to really, really think hard about what they're grateful for in their life. But honestly, sometimes when I'm journaling, I'll write the sunshine, oxygen, just little things, because I'm still practicing gratitude, even though they're small things. And it's not often that I struggle to think of things that I'm grateful for, or to make sure that they're kind of different every day as well. That be grateful for the small things as well, because that feeling of gratitude, that's what yields happiness. And overcoming adversity as well. So if you're feeling down, if the example you just gave me, if you're feeling a bit under the weather or low mood, well, why is that? Is there something in your life at the moment that you're really struggling with? Do you need help with that? And as you work through that and you process it, and you're overcoming your own adversity, no matter how big or small that is, it's important to you because it's affecting your mood and your emotions. So whether you're working through that, remind yourself, I'm trying here, I'm doing well, and I'm tackling this. And that overcoming of adversities, that also yields happiness eventually when you're on the other side of the hill. And by naming those 3 things that I mentioned before, that every morning, I haven't made this up, this is a well-practiced thing, you feel more satisfied as well. And that's a great way to start your day. Maybe you're not starting off your day feeling positive, but you start off feeling satisfied, like, okay, you know what, I've got some good things going on here. So let's start there and see how the rest of the day kind of pans out. But we need to train our brains as well to think, or to focus more positively, like on the positives rather than on the bad things. Some people are like that. They just see the bad things straight away. Whoa, you've not got a whole picture here. And straight away, you've gone in with the negative things, and negative thoughts bring anxiety and paranoia. But gratitude goes hand in hand with positivity. So if you're naturally trying to see, like I say, those small things, if you can train your brain to think about these things that you're grateful for in your life, then you're going to naturally become a more positive person in general. And that's going to improve your mental well-being. It's going to make you feel more optimistic. It's going to motivate you to reach those goals that we're talking about. And wouldn't the world be a better place if everyone was just more grateful and more kind, rather than focusing on bad things and what we don't have?
Yeah, absolutely. I had, not last night, but the night before, I had a very restless puppy who was up 3 times through the night, and I think I had about 2 hours consecutive sleep at best. So you kind of wake up in those, sometimes you wake up in those days, you're like, oh man, I got to go to the gym and do 30 minutes of workout now. So what's next for Lisa Blackshaw? So another book to look forward to?
Absolutely. There's going to be many more books on the way. I'm not in a hurry, but I've already started researching a couple of other ideas. And as I was saying, how the first manuscript compared to today's manuscript, I think I was trying to do too much in one book. So I've got quite a lot of material that I can go back to, which I'd started on, and use those as the start of another book. So there's definitely some more books on the way. I'm getting married this year, so very excited.
Woo,
about
congratulations.
that. Yeah, we had to postpone it. We were engaged in 2018 with plans to get married in 2020, and as we all know how that went that year.
Yeah.
So we postponed it to 2021, but things were still not really possible. Not going to get the day that we wanted. So really looking forward to all of our friends and family celebrating this year, and hopefully after that I'll study to become captain.
Fantastic. Well done. Well, congratulations on getting engaged in what, even though it was 2018, you're going to get there in the end, right? 2022 is the year.
He still wants to marry me, so that's good.
Well, that's good news. So if people want to stay in touch with Rise and Thrive and keep up with your progress or catch your daily quotes, how can they do that?
Of course, yeah. We're on Instagram. I religiously post Monday to Friday, but I take weekends off. I need that digital detox. I recently started on Twitter, and I'm enjoying that. It's a little bit more conversational. I've uploaded some very cringeworthy videos on TikTok. So if you want to have a laugh at me, then head over there. And I also post quotes on Facebook too. But I put a lot of thought and effort into the content to make sure that it's relevant, that it's uplifting and encouraging. And I've created a safe space and a happy space for engagement, not just with me, but with other people. And I love seeing that on some of the posts where people are kind of like, oh, I do that too, or I share that value as well. And you see other people connecting through the power of positive quotes, which is really lovely to see. And I'd love to hear from readers such as yourself, and that's obviously how we got connected, and about how the book helps, because even though I've written the book, no two people take the same thing away from a book. So I find it really inspiring, actually, when I hear what people have taken from their lives, or different to my life, and how they've incorporated it. And it's almost like a mirror receiving this feedback of how somebody else has taken on board your suggestions and done something completely different. And I just think, oh wow, that's amazing that you've managed to do this, or your plan is to do this. I love hearing those kind of success stories.
Yeah, and what I would say is I actually bought the bricks and mortar copy, the paper copy of your book. It is, from what I found, is that it's not a book that you pick up and read front to cover. It's a book that you refer back to, and oh yeah, I want to go back and have a look at that page. And it's almost like a bit of a reference book rather than a cover-to-cover book.
I learned recently a term which I wish I knew before publishing the book, that this kind of style that you're talking about is called a buffet style book.
Okay.
Because you can come back to the table for a few more snacks, and then you can go away, and then you can come back. So, but you're exactly right. I know when I found that, I was just like, oh, If only I'd have known that a few months ago. That's a perfect description of what it is and how it should work for people, that you can come back to those chapters, and the copy that you've got, you'll notice that it's quite a big book. There's a lot of white space in there. It's not text from top to bottom of the page. And the reason for that was that when I was doing my research, I found that people enjoy writing in personal development books. They like highlighting and making notes. I mean, that to me is sacrilege. I would never write in a book or tear a page out and pin it. So I wouldn't do that. But other people do, and everybody's different. And if that's how you're going to take the positivity away from the book and, rip it out and pin it, then you do you. But that was one of the reasons why the book is quite big, so that when you come back and you want to make notes, you can reread your own notes. It's almost like a workbook or a journal.
You do you. That's a great way to finish the podcast. Lisa, if happiness is measured by the ripples you make in the pond of life, you've already succeeded. You've inspired literally thousands of people around the world. So to wrap up the podcast, it seems fitting to go out on a Lisa Blackshaw quote. Can you offer us one last piece of inspiration to end on a high?
Luckily, I prepared one for you already, Rob. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work gains success, and greatness will come. And that is by Dwayne Johnson.
I want to thank my guest today, Lisa Blackshaw. It was an absolute pleasure having Lisa on the podcast. I really enjoyed it, taking some great tips away, and I hope you did too. If you like the podcast, let me know by posting and tagging me in on Instagram, grind.equity. You can also head on over to the website and sign up to have the weekly podcast sent direct to your inbox. Thank you for listening to the Grind Academy today, and I wish you and your loved ones a wonderful week.